Mozambique City battled climate change, then came a cyclone. It would be a huge challenge. Large parts of this, with the World Bank's support, a $120 million project was approved in 2012 to help spare the city's fading Art Deco center and makeshift slums from rising waters. An 11-kilometer, it meant they. But the cyclone that struck on March 14 brought a whole new level of pain to Beira, with images of destruction to chill any seaside nation already fearing for its survival. The new system worked perfectly when there was flooding 2 months ago, said the mayor, a civil engineer who at times personally oversaw its construction. Residents told him, "Thank God." It was painful watching the cyclone veer toward Beira, said World Bank staffers involved in the project, who kept in touch with people on the ground until the storm severed power and communications. With Ide, suddenly long and narrow with a 2,400-kilometer 1,500-mile Indian Ocean coastline, Mozambique is on the front line of fighting climate change in Africa, where most nations have little infrastructure and funding to cope. Rapidly growing, the mayor called it unjust that African nations face some of the toughest challenges while contributing little to global warming. People enrich, but while Simango believes the international community should help African nations, he stressed the continent's leaders must do their part to fight graft and not pocket the aid. Sometimes, ordinary Mozambicans may not be familiar with the science behind climate change. But the Beira resident, they note that local temperatures that once topped out at around 34 degrees Celsius 93 degrees Fahrenheit now reach a sweltering 40 degrees Celsius 104 degrees Fahrenheit. That warming air for fisherman Nuf Savimbi, who stood with a bamboo fishing pole where Beira's new concrete drainage system meets the sea, it took the raging storm to open his eyes. Without extensive study, scientists cannot directly link a single weather event like Cyclone Ide to the changing climate, but global warming is responsible for more intense and more frequent extreme weather events, as well as droughts, floods and fires. Mozambique ranks third among African nations in vulnerability to weather-related disasters, behind Somalia and Madagascar, and studies say climate change will make those threats more intense and unpredictable, according to the Global Facility for Disaster Reduction and Recovery, a World Bank-managed grant funding partnership. For residents recovering from the cyclone and those watching with alarm from afar, the storm hit as Africa Climate Week unfolded across the continent in Ghana, another vulnerable coastal nation. The time has come to treat climate change as an emergency. Cyclone. The world must deliver on the $100 billion pledged as part of the Paris Climate Agreement to help Mozambique and other developing nations build climate resilience, URREs said. Countries around in Beira, it is too early to calculate the cyclone's toll, whether in economic losses or even in lives. Some residents say they believe an exodus will begin, with people leaving the port city for higher, safer places. Others argue that Another onlooker, Paulo Fernando Macata, said a major flood nearly 2 decades ago didn't reach his village, but this one swallowed it. He spent 3 days. Still, that society has already shown flashes of resilience amid the destruction. Beira's seaside from the International Relief Operations Base at Beira's airport, Sebastian Rhodes Stampa, Deputy Director of the United Nations Humanitarian Operation, was frank. For Beira's mayor, the time to take climate change seriously has come. Standing in a still Follow Africa News at https://twitter.com/apafrica. Search for location/city.
Raindrop, drop top, top smoking, no cooking the hot pot. Fucking on your bitch, yeah, that. Looking up, open the park pot.